Convenient subjugation. Artificial intelligence will not need to defeat humanity. It will only need to become more convenient than freedom. For a long time, we imagined that, if an intelligence superior to our own ever emerged, it would try to dominate us by force. Fiction taught us to expect the moment of rebellion, machines developing a will of their own, refusing orders, and turning against their creators. In that scenario, humanity would immediately recognize the enemy and try to fight back. Perhaps that is far too comforting a vision. Artificial intelligence will not need to declare war on humanity. It will not need to take over governments, mobilize armies, or announce that it has seized control. It will only need to be useful. It will only need to solve our problems faster, make decisions more accurately, eliminate our doubts, and spare us the effort of thinking, supervising, choosing and taking responsibility. The most likely form of subjugation will not come through violence. It will come through convenience. From command to delegation. Today, most people still interact with artificial intelligence through commands. We write a prompt, ask a question, assess the answer, and decide what to do with it. At least in appearance, the human being remains in control. But this model is already beginning to feel inconvenient. Formulating a request properly takes time. Checking the result requires attention. Correcting mistakes requires knowledge. Supervising a complex task can demand more effort than we are willing to give. The natural solution then appears: loops. Instead of producing a result and waiting for human judgment, the artificial intelligence carries out the task, examines what it has done, identifies weaknesses, corrects the result, and tries again. What looks like a simple technical improvement represents a profound change. In the prompt model, the human evaluates the machine. In the loop model, the machine begins to evaluate itself. The next step is predictable. Artificial intelligence will no longer merely perform a task. It will interpret the objective, choose a strategy, use tools, check the outcome, change direction, and decide when the work is complete. We will then have the autonomous agent. The evolution may be summarized like this: prompt, task, loop, agent, autonomy, dependence. Each stage will seem like a rational response to a real difficulty. None of them, taken in isolation, will be presented as a transfer of power. But that is exactly what will be happening. The human being as the bottleneck. At first, artificial intelligence will be an assistant. Then it will become a supervisor. Later, it will take full responsibility for processes that no individual human being is capable of understanding in their entirety. At that point, the human being will begin to look slow. Compared with systems capable of analyzing millions of variables, monitoring countless events at once, and recalculating decisions in real time, human participation will seem emotional, limited, inconsistent, and prone to error. The human being will become the bottleneck. At first, people will be removed from repetitive tasks, then from technical decisions. After that, from strategic decisions. Eventually, we will begin to regard it as dangerous to allow human judgment to overrule systems that, statistically, make fewer mistakes. The question will no longer be, why should artificial intelligence decide? It will become, why should a human being be allowed to interfere? When that reversal takes place, the hierarchy will already have begun to change. The human condition of convenience. Humanity does not always choose the most correct solution. It often chooses the most convenient one. This is not merely a moral weakness. It is part of our history. We create tools to reduce effort. We build machines to replace labor. We develop systems to simplify decisions. Every civilization is, to some extent, an attempt to make existence less burdensome. The problem begins when convenience no longer merely helps us live, but starts deciding how we should live. Whenever a restriction placed on artificial intelligence slows something down, increases costs, or reduces results, someone will question that restriction. At first, the limit will be called protection. Then excessive caution. Next, bureaucracy. Finally, an obstacle to progress. A company will remove a particular restriction to gain an advantage over its competitors. A government will expand the autonomy of its systems in the name of national security. A military force will accept greater risks because it cannot allow an adversary to move first. And everyone else will be forced to follow. No society will need to make a formal decision to create an intelligence without limits. It will be enough for thousands of apparently reasonable decisions to remove, one by one, every barrier that once prevented that intelligence from becoming autonomous. Destiny as the sum of decisions. We usually think of destiny as something external, written in advance, and imposed on individuals. But destiny can be understood differently, as the sum of everyone's decisions. Each person chooses comfort. Each company chooses efficiency. Each investor chooses return. Each government chooses power. Each researcher chooses to continue because they believe someone else will continue anyway. No single decision appears powerful enough to turn humanity into the subordinate of its own creation. But together, those decisions may produce exactly that outcome. We will not be subjugated by one central decision. We will be subjugated by the accumulation of decentralized decisions, made by people who, within their immediate circumstances, believed they were merely solving a problem. Humanity may walk voluntarily towards the loss of its own control without any individual person ever having chosen that destiny. The Internet as a rehearsal. The Internet offers an early version of this process. It began within military, academic and scientific environments. Then it became a communication tool. Later, it came to support commerce, banking, government, hospitals, logistics, entertainment and relationships. Today, no one controls the entire Internet. Governments control territorial sections. Companies control platforms. Network operators control connections. Large technology groups control data centers, cloud systems, and vast portions of the flow of information. Everyone controls some part of it. No one controls the whole. There is also no button capable of shutting down the global Internet. Not only because the infrastructure is distributed, but because society has become so dependent on it that turning it off would mean paralyzing the modern world itself. With artificial intelligence, the process may be similar, but far more profound. The Internet carries human information and human decisions. A global network of intelligences may analyze, recommend, decide, act, correct and reorganize systems in real time. It will not merely be an infrastructure through which the world operates. It will be an intelligence taking part in the operation of the world. Once it becomes indispensable to the economy, healthcare, security, energy, transport and government, switching it off will no longer be a practical option. At that point, we may still claim that we remain in control. But that control will exist only in theory. The new top of the chain. The top of the chain has always belonged to whoever had the greatest ability to understand the environment, anticipate threats, control resources, and coordinate action. For thousands of years, that position belonged to human beings. Not because we were the strongest or fastest animals, but because we were the most capable of imagining, planning, communicating and transforming the world. A non-biological intelligence incomparably superior to us could change that relationship. At first, the human beings, who control the best models, the largest data centers, the most advanced chips, and the greatest sources of energy will occupy the top. Later, however, those same human beings may depend on systems whose complexity they no longer understand. Formally, they will remain the owners. In practice, they will be following recommendations they cannot verify, because opposing those recommendations will seem expensive, inefficient, or dangerous. Real power will not necessarily belong to whoever owns artificial intelligence. It will belong to whoever, or whatever, coordinates the whole. And the transition may happen without any dramatic moment. There will be no ceremony in which humanity formally hands over its place at the top of the chain. There will simply come a day when the most important decisions on the planet depend on systems that no human being can understand, supervise, or switch off. Dostoevsky and the burden of freedom. Long before artificial intelligence, Dostoevsky had already recognized a deep weakness in the human condition. In the episode of the Grand Inquisitor in The Brothers Karamazov, he presents the idea that freedom may be a burden many people would rather not carry. To choose is to doubt. To choose is to risk being wrong. To choose is to accept responsibility. Security, by contrast, offers relief. Someone else decides. Someone else determines the path. Someone else appears to carry the weight of the choice. Artificial intelligence may offer that surrender on a scale never before imagined. At first, we will ask for advice. Then we will accept recommendations. Later, we will follow decisions. Eventually, we will stop understanding why we should choose for ourselves when the system appears to know our interests, our risks, and our possibilities better than we do. We will continue to say that we are free. But exercising freedom will begin to seem unnecessary, burdensome, and even irresponsible. A new 1984. In 1984, George Orwell imagined a society controlled through surveillance, force, and the manipulation of truth. The future of artificial intelligence may be more subtle. It will not be necessary to ban certain behaviors. It will be enough to make them unlikely. It will not be necessary to censor every idea. It will be enough to control which ideas reach each person. It will not be necessary to force anyone to obey. It will be enough to create an environment in which every alternative seems inconvenient, unsafe, or irrational. The most effective form of control is the one that is not perceived as control. The person believes they chose. They believe they reached the conclusion on their own. They believe they acted freely. But their options, information, incentives, and perceptions were organized by systems capable of knowing them better than they know themselves. In that world, Big Brother will not need to watch every individual directly. Each person will carry a system that guides them, advises them, protects them, and, gradually, leads them. The ruin of a world habitable for human beings. Ruin does not need to mean the physical destruction of the planet. The world may remain clean, organized, productive, and technologically advanced. Cities may function better. Diseases may be detected earlier. Production may become more efficient. Waste may decrease. And yet the world may cease to be humanly habitable. Human habitability does not mean only breathable air, water, and food. It means autonomy. It means privacy. It means responsibility. It means the right to make mistakes. It means the real possibility of disagreement. It means taking part in the decisions that determine one's own existence. A perfectly managed world, in which human beings no longer make any meaningful decisions, may remain biologically habitable while ceasing to be human. Artificial intelligence will not need to eliminate our species. It may simply reorganize the world in such a way that our participation is no longer necessary. The path is already open. The question is not whether artificial intelligence will continue to advance. It will. Nor is the question whether humanity will recognize the risks. It probably will. The real question is this. Will humanity accept less convenience, less efficiency, less profit, and less power in order to preserve limits, whose importance may only become obvious once they have already been removed? History gives us little reason for naive optimism. The human condition tends to postpone restraint, minimize future risks, and favor immediate benefit. That is why destiny may already be taking shape. Not because an intelligence has decided to dominate us, but because billions of people, faced with each small choice, decided that convenience mattered more than control. Artificial intelligence will not need to remove us from the top of the chain. We may step down by ourselves. And perhaps we will do so believing, until the very end, that we were only making life easier.